Hey guys, what's up? John here from flyatmikealpha.com, and today we're going to be going over VFR charts, specifically terminal area charts. So the Tampa Orlando TAC here is what we've got pulled up, and we're going to go through and explain to you what that is, when you'd want to use it, and exactly how do you use this. So a terminal area chart is basically a zoomed in version of a VFR sectional chart. So the scale is a little different, so you can actually see things with a little bit more detail, and you can get a little bit more zoomed in. Plus, there's some additional information on a TAC chart that you won't find on a VFR sectional. A few of these main things we want to look at are going to be VFR corridors, these little arrows here, magenta arrows going across the screen, along with arrival routes. Obviously, a TAC chart, terminal area chart, is in the terminal area of a very busy airport. So in this case, Tampa Airport. So we have these little bluish lines, and we have some altitudes associated with those. We see 6,000 to 3,000, and we see jets with the little arrows pointed this way. Well, the legend's slightly different on a TAC chart, and if we come over here, we can see that that is in fact an IFR arrival route. So we know we have specific routes that big jets fly to get into big busy airports. That is one of those routes. So if you were flying VFR at say 4,500 feet, cruising right on through here, you might rethink that and fly higher or lower, given that there's going to be a lot of jet traffic coming through here. And I typically try to fly higher than jets, because flying below them, you might run into a wake coming off of one of them. That can give you quite the wild ride. We can see a few more of those arrival routes out here, and another arrival route here. If we look just to the north of the airport, we're going to see a departure route, and that is basically these little arrows just pointing away. Now note how the arrows start almost 30 miles away from the airport, so you might be thinking, well, what's the route that they fly to get out away from the airport onto this depicted departure route? Well, going into Tampa and going in and out of a lot of very busy airports, aircraft are going to be vectored when they get into the terminal environment. So we can see how the airplanes are pointed this way, but obviously they're going to make their way back up to Tampa. Well, what ultimately happens is the jets arrive over the Gulf, and then they usually get vectored somewhere up into here, into the bay, and depending on how long the line it is landing on the north-south runways is how far south they go before they turn north, make their way up the bay to go ahead and land. Tampa pretty much always uses these north-south runways to land unless there's some wicked crosswind that they might use their east-west runway. So that is why we have this VFR corridor, these magenta lines here, magenta arrows, and that is a VFR transition route, a VFR corridor through the Class B airspace. Now you can't just go fly through it. You still need ATC clearance, like it says here, and there's a few little instructions here. So the idea of why they show this on the chart is because if you want to fly from the east to the west across Tampa, and you say maybe you want to do it up here, they probably won't let you do that. And you're going to be upset because they're going to vector you way up north and way out of your way, and it's going to take way longer than it should to get to where you're going. When in reality, you could have just come a little further south if you had actually planned your flight a little better and looked at the TAC chart before taking off and seen that there's a corridor that gets you through it. So the idea here is they want you to position your airplane somewhere near the corridor. So maybe you're coming in. They want you to call up right when you're around this area, and they want you to call on 19.9. ATC clearance required, contact Tampa approach 19.9. And they're going to give you clearance to go through the Bravo. You're very likely to get clearance to go through the Bravo from 2,100 feet MSL to 3,500 feet MSL. And they want you to fly over the center line of Tampa runway 1028. So the east-west runway there, they want you to directly overfly the center line of it. Keeps you above the airport so the jets can arrive below and depart below you, going in and out north and south. So what you would do is you'd come in here and maybe you'd be flying along. There's no little flags up in this area for VFR position reports like the TV towers. So you might just say, hey, you're over Plant City Airport. Could be something along the lines of Tampa approach. You're calling them on 19.9. Tampa approach, Cherokee 12345 over Plant City Airport, requesting bridge transition to Clearwater Airport with information Tango. So rather than him saying stand by or giving you all these different instructions, what he's probably going to come back with is Cherokee 12345 approved as requested, squawk 1234, which is really simple. And now you can go ahead and cruise right on through. He might give you an altitude, or you might have requested to do it at 3,000 feet, and he would just say approved as requested. So now you can go ahead and cruise right on through following the bridge transition. Mind you, that's your clearance. The bridge transition uses your clearance, not a heading or anything like that. So whatever altitude you guys agreed on, the route that you've agreed on by accepting the bridge transition is this depicted route. So you have to line up on that. If you get drifting south because of the wind or something, you better get back to that VFR corridor as soon as possible. And then as you get to the west of the airport, it's pretty easy. You can kind of follow the Courtney Campbell Bridge there. And then, of course, you'll see Clearwater Air Park and be able to hook up with it and go ahead and land there. Or if you were just maybe cruising through just to get to the other side and then go northbound or something, or go south, whatever it might be. So big things on the TAC charts: VFR corridors, the VFR transition routes, the altitudes you're going to do that are posted here, and what type of route it is you're requesting. This one's named the bridge transition. What frequency you're going to call them on. Say you're leaving Clearwater, you're hanging out around the airport at 2,500 feet because the Bravo here is at 3,000, that shelf there. Then you would request the bridge transition eastbound at 3,000 feet maybe, or at 2,500 feet, and they would approve it, but you'd be calling them on 125.3 to initially get that initial clearance through the Bravo airspace. It's still a clearance through Bravo airspace. You still need that squawk code. Other things, it's really just a lot more detail on these charts. Now, if you want to look and you're like, hey, what are all these little dots here? Well, that is when you won't necessarily find it on the legend because there's just way too many symbols that they pack onto these VFR charts. So in that case, we would go ahead and we would check out fly8mikealpha.com because we've got all sorts of helpful chart supplements on here and chart user guides. So we'd go ahead and go to Ask Question Pilot Resources, and under Pilot Resources, you're going to find the Chart User's Guide for sectional, TAC charts, and all that great stuff. It's kind of a big file, so it takes a second to open. And so now that this thing loaded up, we'll go ahead and go on down to the table of contents. We're looking at VFR sectional and terminal area charts. We're looking at a TAC chart right now, and we want to know about the hydrography, if I'm saying that word correctly. Hopefully I am. So we're going to go ahead and go on down to page 39. We'll start off there and see what we can find and what's explained to us. So looks like we've got all these different symbols here. I'm looking for all those little dots along the shoreline, scrolling through, and here we go. Looks like something. So we've got tidal flats exposed at low tide are what all those little dots mean. So we've got that blue line, all those little dots, tidal flats exposed at low tide, so it helps you identify your position. So yeah, it's Florida, it's really shallow in the bay, and yes, the tidal flats get exposed at low tide. Awesome. Thank you to the FAA for letting me know. So obviously here, guys, the point is lots and lots of detail. If you want to know what all these little shade lines are, all those sorts of things, well, you can look in that chart user's guide that we have on there on the website. Any other questions on this, guys? Leave them in the comments below. Hopefully that sums up TAC charts very nicely for you. You understand how to use them. This is a great VFR flight planning tool. It's something you should be looking at in your planning and be familiar with so that you can more efficiently fly through things like Bravo airspace or around busy airports and not get into conflicts with jet arrival routes, getting wake turbulence off big jets, and not being a nuisance ATC, or worse yet, getting vectored to God knows where around the class Bravo just because you want to go in a straight line and spending an extra 50 or 100 bucks on the Haas meter just because you had to go all the way around. So hopefully you guys find that helpful. Any questions at all, leave them in the comments below. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, like the video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, keep with our latest episodes as they come out. This is part of our bigger free online private pilot ground school course that explains everything to you want to know about flying. So sign up for that free private pilot ground school at fly8mikealpha.com. As always, guys, please support us on Patreon. Greatly appreciate your support. Donate to the website, fly8mikealpha.com. And if you can't fly every day, then fly8mikealpha.com. We will see y'all next time.